What has become sort of the biggest story, though, of the weekend outside of the cabinet appointments, Vice President-Elect Mike Pence going to a play. And he certainly did not expect his Friday night visit to the theater to become this weekend's most talked about controversy. But the show has moved from Broadway to the computer screen as Mr. Pence's frosty reception in Hamilton and curtain call lecture triggered several angry tweets by President-elect Donald Trump. Here's a sample of the tweets. The cast and producers of Hamilton, which I hear is highly overrated, should immediately apologize to Mike Pence for their behavior. This morning, though, the Vice President-elect says he isn't as riled as his running mate.
You know, when we arrived, we heard a few boos and we heard some cheers, and I nudged my kids and reminded them that's what freedom sounds like. And but at the end, I did hear what was said from the stage, and I can tell you, I wasn't offended by what was said. I'll leave to others whether that was the appropriate venue to say it.
There you go. Here to weigh in, our fair and balanced panel, conservative talk radio host Josh Kimbrell and Democratic radio host Garland Nixon. Gentlemen, before you weigh in, we'll let the New York Post weigh in with their cover in a way that they seem to be able to capture the essence of almost every moment. Stand by for the Post cover. There it is. Commander in tweet. Duel escalates between Trump and Hamilton. Garland, first to you. Is anybody in the right here other than perhaps the Vice President-elect who's handled this with, you might say, a lot of dignity and aplomb?
Well, I think, number one, that you have to understand that with all the things that have happened over the past 6 months, that there's going to be strong opposition to President Trump, and there are going to be people that are going to speak out. I do think the Vice President handled it correctly, and the only reason it's really a big story is because the President-elect of the United States actually responded to something that really he shouldn't have addressed. I think, as a guy who's done a lot of pickup basketball in my day, I think he's got to learn. If you can't take a little trash talking, it's going to start coming in. It's going to start coming a lot heavier if people find out you can't handle it.
Well, Josh, Garland might have a point in that in terms of taking incoming fire, the president takes a whole lot of it. This is a tweet that Mr. Trump deleted. Very rude and insulting of Hamilton cast member to treat our great future VP Mike Pence to a theater lecture. Couldn't even memorize lines, speaking to the video where the actor pulled out a cue card, if you will, to read his statement at the end of the play. Josh, where does this go from here? Is it every time someone takes on President-elect or President Trump, he's going to respond on Twitter?
Well, first of all, I think President-elect Trump was a lot nicer to the cast of Hamilton than President Obama has been to the cast of Fox News. If you think about the entire 8 years, President Obama has continually taken Fox News and any conservative media, not to suggest Fox is conservative, but any media outlet that criticizes him, he's taken them to the woodshed, politically speaking, in terms of his rhetoric and speeches he's given, even in social media. So I don't think President-elect Trump did anything that should be causing such an uproar. He defended his running mate. He defended an honorable man, Vice President-elect Mike Pence, who, by the way, handled it with incredible class. I mean, the cast of Hamilton made it seem that the incoming administration's automatically going to go in and try and trample people who are minorities and that they're nativist and xenophobic and all this stuff we've heard in too much of the liberal media. At the end of the day, Donald Trump and Mike Pence won a higher percentage of the African-American vote and the Hispanic vote than did Mitt Romney in 2012. And so this notion that this administration is coming in inherently dangerous is wrong. It's wrong-headed.
Garland, is this about race or is this about sort of the civility of the conversation in 2016? And sometimes it helps to step back from these situations and turn them around. Imagine this. If Hillary Clinton had won the election and she was at a hockey game, for example, and all of a sudden after the Star-Spangled Banner, a captain from the hockey team grabbed the microphone and started lecturing the President-elect Hillary Clinton about how there were a lot of hockey fans who felt like she didn't care about them and felt like she had ostracized them and belittled them. I don't think the left would be too happy about that.
Yeah, again, it comes back to this. The question is not what happens to the president-elect. It's how the president-elect reacts. And when you say, you've got to add a little punchline into it. Well, they were wrong, and plus they're stupid and they can't act anyway. It kind of sounds not very mature. So I think the issue here is something happened. And President-elect Trump responded, but he didn't respond. And let's be honest, it's not mature to add a little bit of a punchline attack to it. He could have done it a lot of other ways, and I just don't think it befits the office of the president.
But look at the way the Hamilton cast treated him. I mean, first of all, they get up there with the vice president-elect, with his daughters, with their cousins, and basically says, we're all worried that this won't be an administration for all of us, that you're going to trample our inalienable rights. Well, President-elect Trump made clear on the night of his election, this would be a government for all Americans. Vice President-elect Mike Pence has made that point, that this would be a government for all Americans. And so at the end of the day, it was the cast of Hamilton that fired the first shot in this salvo, and everyone's taken President-elect Trump to task over it. But what about the cast at Hamilton who took what the President-elect has called a safe space where the Vice President-elect was there with his family, and they turned it into an opportunity to embarrass him. And they asked people, take out your phones, tweet this out, put it on social media. It was a gotcha moment. It was unfair to the incoming administration. It was unfair to Vice President Pence.
Josh, we got to leave it there. Garland, you got 30 seconds. Last word.
Well, I think they're going to have to get used to it. There are a lot of people that are concerned. And here's the bottom line. The president-elect has said a lot of things over the course of time, banning Muslims, et cetera, that have created this environment. It didn't just fall out of nowhere. And his policies are going to tell the difference. And so far, the people that he's putting up.
Garland, you know what it means to have a hard break you're up against. I appreciate it.
All right, thanks.
Josh, Garland, thanks, guys. Great conversation. I think we may have a few more in the coming 4 years.